I just want to make a quick video how to properly install conduit body in the side of a house when running an electrical line. Here we have a trench that's dug 18 inches in the ground by code. It's carrying Schedule 40 PVC conduit, power and data from the shed to the house. And on the right we have a power line. This is 1 1/4 inches line, conduit diameter. And on the left we have a 1-inch conduit diameter for data line. The reason you want to separate these is because by code, if you don't, you could potentially have interference on your data line from the power source. So to keep everything kosher, we separated these two. This is the proper way of doing it. And one very important detail that a lot of people miss out that I want to make this video is this is actually called an expansion joint here. And since we're in New England, what's going to happen is the ground's going to freeze. And when water freezes, it expands. So the ground is going to heave, it's going to come up. And then when the ground thaws out in the spring, the line is going to want to go down. So it's very important that you install an expansion, it's called an expansion joint or expansion fitting. And this one is already installed. And we're going to install one on the data line now. And the way this works is it can fluctuate based off of the ground. So in the winter, it's going to be, the ground's going to want to come up. To show you, the ground's going to want to come up, and it's going to be tight like this. And then in the spring, when it thaws out, it's going to, when the ground comes back down, the expansion fitting will slide on down like that. So there's a kind of an important few steps you have to take with this. And the way I did it here is you don't want there to be any gap between here because it could potentially allow water to get in. But the most important thing is you want this to face down. So when water goes down, you don't want anything to get potentially in the seam. So you always want to work with gravity, not against it. So if you installed it like this, what could happen is water could potentially get in here. So this is the proper orientation you want to install it. And what you want to do is, this is a female fitting here and a female fitting here. So you're going to have to cut a stub. And each female fitting allows for 1 inch of pipe. But you want to cut the pipe stub slightly shorter than 1 inch on each side because you want to make sure that there's no gap in between here. So I'm going to do a dry fitting, and I assume that if you're watching this video you know how to glue PVC, so I'm not going to include that part. I'm just going to do a dry fitting just to show you how you would do it before you would glue this up. So you'd cut out a stub here. This is 1 3/4 inches. Like I said, I cut it slightly shorter than 2 inches. And since it's a dry fit, everything's not going to fit perfectly, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. And when you install anything with the dry fitting, before you actually do the dry fitting, what you want to do is you want to chamfer the edges here, and you want to ream the inside here. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, but the reason you want to do that is the chamfer is going to allow the pipe to slide in further. And when you ream the inside, it's going to prevent any wire from getting snagged on the inside when pulling the wire through the pipe. So I've already chamfered and reamed both ends of this male fitting here. You're just going to put this in like that. And this probably won't butt up perfectly since it's a dry fitting, but just to show you, put this in here. I know there's a gap right now, but that'll go away once everything's glued together. So now you have the expansion joint on. You want to dry fit the actual pipe that's going to the ground. So here we have a pipe with a bell fitting at the end, and then we have a 90-degree. And the bell fitting, you want it to face down. Again, even though everything's going to be glued together and sealed, it's still good practice because if it's not a perfect seal, then water won't be able to get in. So you want to take a pipe like this here, and you want the bell to go down and not up. So here we have the bell fitting, And we have the 90°. This is just dry fitting, like I said. So I've already chamfered the edges and reamed the inside. It's very important that you chamfer the outside, especially because when you do glue this together, it's going to prevent the glue from being pushed inside. It'll allow the glue to slide over and to get a good seal on the pipe. So we'll just put this together like that for now. Put this here like that. And just as that. And we're going to just mark this pipe. And since it's cold right now, I'm going to mark it at around where the expansion joint is fully pulled up, just because the ground is fully frozen. So it'll give us room when the ground thaws out. It'll allow us to allow the pipe to slide down. So we'll just mark that here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And we'll take a pair of cutters. I'm trying to do this with one hand, so excuse me. Okay, so now we have our pipe cut, and I'll show you how to do a chamfer and ream. So first, I like to chamfer it. So what you do is you take a tool like this. This is this is made by Rigid. This allows you to chamfer and ream up to 1-inch pipe. If you have a pipe that's larger, like this, then you have to use slightly different tools, which I'll show you in a little bit. But we'll do the chamfer right now. Just turn this a few times like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and most people don't even do this step, so you're already ahead of the game. Okay, so that gives us about a 15-degree chamfer on the edges, and then we'll ream the inside of the pipe. Okay, and just clean out any burrs with your fingers like that. So now we'll just dry fit this to the expansion joint. Okay, and that's pretty much how the dry fitting is done. I told you I'd show you if you have a pipe that's larger than 1 inch, then you can't use this tool, unfortunately. This is a great tool, but it only goes up to 1 inch. So what you have to do is you have to chamfer the edges with this tool here. This tool has a blade, and you can chamfer up to 4-inch pipe with this tool. If you want to look it up, that's the name of it. It's made by a company called Reed. It's the DEB4. It's made in the United States. And then this tool is also made by Reed. Many companies make this same type of tool. Just to show you with this spare piece of pipe how this works. When you ream the inside, you just go around it a few times. And that'll give you a reamed end on the inside. And just to show you how this works with this tool, you just put the pipe in the tool, and there's a blade on the outside. I'll try to show you with a close-up. And as I'm turning it here, you can see it's cutting a chamfer on the edge of the pipe. So it's just to show you. You're obviously going to do it all the way around, but just for explanation, that's kind of how it's going to look. So one final note is, if you're in New England What you should probably do is not use the typical electrical conduit glue that they sell. This is electrical conduit cement. I find that with the cold weather it doesn't work well. It's too watery. It's good that it is gray color, so it is going to match the pipe, but I think there's a much better way of doing it, and that's the way I do it, which is to first prime the pipe. This is just your typical primer that's sold in any hardware store. And then you want to use a special type of cement, and this is all-weather cement. And this goes down to, you can use this in -15 Fahrenheit versus the gray stuff. And most cements you can only use, the coldest is 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So this comes in a green bottle, and this is the stuff I prefer, because even if it's not cold out, you can still use it up to 110 degrees. So this is good for all weather purposes, and in this type of climate, it's going to be colder than 40 degrees when working outside most of the year. So recommendation to use this. The only problem with some people might have is they don't like the purple primer showing, but I'd rather have a fitting that's going to last a lifetime than something that's aesthetically pleasing. And if you're putting in the expansion joints, you're ensuring that the system is going to last for a lifetime. So I've very rarely seen this install done properly. So this is the reason I wanted to make the video. In my opinion, this is the best way of doing it. If anybody has any other way, I'd like to know. But one last thing is, obviously when this is all glued up and everything, you want to make sure that these two pipes are both plumb and parallel to each other. It's actually more important that for aesthetics that they're parallel to each other. It just looks nice. And that is about it. If you'd like, you could add straps that go to that connect the piping to the house, especially if you have a longer run. My only recommendation is when you do the strapping, make the strap slightly larger than the pipe size. So since this pipe is 1 inch, maybe get a strap that's meant for 1.25 inch pipe. And since this pipe is 1 1/4, maybe get 1.5 inch strap, or slightly larger. That way it'll allow the pipe to move up and down the way it should with these expansion joints. So thanks for watching. Take care.